The massive station floated above Proxima 7 like a jewel in the darkness. Its walls were made of materials that humans had never seen before. Lights from a dozen different alien species flickered through its windows. This was the heart of galactic power, where decisions affecting trillions of lives were made every day. Commander Jake Morrison walked through the long corridor toward the council chamber. His boots made soft sounds on the floor. He wore his dress uniform, dark blue with gold buttons that caught the strange light. In his hands, he carried a datapad with humanity's proposal. His heart beat faster with each step, but his face remained calm. The doors opened before him. The council chamber was enormous. 12 platforms rose from the floor in a circle, each one holding a representative from an ancient alien civilization. Some looked like giant insects. Others were clouds of gas held together by force fields. One appeared to be living crystal that pulsed with inner light. Jake took his place in the center of the circle. Above him, holographic displays showed Earth spinning slowly in space. He cleared his throat and began to speak. Honored members of the Galactic Council, I come before you today with a proposal from the people of Earth. We wish to join your alliance as military partners. In exchange, we offer our newest technological breakthrough. He activated his datapad. The hologram changed to show the design of a warship. It was sleek and dangerous looking, covered in weapons and armor. But the most important part was hidden inside, a revolutionary new engine system. We call this quantum fold technology, Jake continued. It will allow a ship to jump instantly across vast distances without using your jump gates. A warship equipped with this system could appear anywhere in a star system within seconds. It could change the nature of space combat forever. For a moment, there was silence. Then laughter echoed through the chamber. Not cruel laughter, but the kind adults give to children who say foolish things. A massive insectoid creature leaned forward on its platform. This was Vexthor, the Council's chief military advisor. His multiple eyes focused on Jake with what might have been amusement. Human, Vexthor's voice came through a translator, sounding like wind through metal pipes. Your species has been traveling in space for less than 200 of your years. We have studied the stars for 10,000. Do you truly believe you have discovered something we have not? Jake kept his voice steady. Yes, I do. More laughter rippled through the chamber. Another council member spoke. This one a being of pure energy contained in a glowing sphere. 17 civilizations have attempted to create quantum fold technology. We have records of every attempt. Some of the greatest minds in galactic history worked on this problem. Every single attempt ended in catastrophic failure. The energy required would tear any ship apart at the molecular level. The math is clear. It cannot be done. Jake stepped forward. With respect, humans have a history of achieving things others said were impossible. Give us a chance to prove it. Vexthor's mandibles clicked together in what might have been a sigh. Young species are always so confident. Very well, let me explain reality to you. The power output needed for quantum fold jumps equals the total energy of a small star. No known hull material can withstand such forces. The resulting stress would create fractures in space-time itself. Ships attempting this have not simply failed. They have been erased from existence. No debris, no survivors, simply gone, as if they never existed. The hologram above changed to show recorded footage of previous attempts. Ships from different alien species, each one unique in design, each one attempting to activate quantum fold drives. The results were identical. Bright flashes of light, then nothing. Empty space where vessels had been moments before. These were not primitive species, Vexthor continued. These were civilizations at their peak, with resources and knowledge far beyond what Earth possesses. If they could not succeed, what makes you think you can? Jake felt the weight of their stares. Part of him wanted to argue, to fight, to make them understand. But he could see it in their eyes, all of them. They had already decided. To them, humanity was just another young race stumbling through the dark, too foolish to understand its own limitations. The council voted. 12 voices, one after another, each one saying the same word. Denied. The lead council member, an ancient being whose species name humans could not pronounce, spoke with finality. Earth may not pursue quantum fold technology. It is too dangerous. However, we recognize your desire to contribute to galactic security. We offer you a junior partnership instead. We will provide you with defensive platforms for your home system. Older models, but still effective. In exchange, you will grant us mining rights to 70% of your asteroid belt. Jake's jaw tightened. 70% of humanity's resources for outdated technology, and a partnership that was really just servitude. They were treating Earth like a child that needed protection and supervision. And if we refuse? Jake asked quietly. The being of energy pulsed brighter. Then you receive nothing. And we strongly advise against pursuing your quantum fold project. For your own safety, of course. Attempting it would be seen as reckless endangerment. We might be forced to intervene. The threat was clear, wrapped in diplomatic language, but a threat nonetheless. Build this ship and the Council would stop them by force. Jake stood there for a long moment, looking up at the 12 platforms. These beings had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They had seen species rise and fall. They had fought wars that reshaped entire sectors of space, and they were telling him with absolute certainty that what humanity wanted to do was impossible. He gave a short, formal bow. Then I thank the Council for their time. Earth will consider your offer and respond within 30 days. He turned and walked out of the chamber. Behind him, he could hear them already moving on to other business, dismissing humanity as easily as they had dismissed the proposal. Just another young species that needed to learn its place. The corridor seemed longer on the way back. Jake's hands were shaking now, but not from fear, from anger, from determination. He pulled out his communicator and sent a message to Earth, to Admiral Kate Sullivan waiting at the orbital shipyard. Her face appeared on the small screen. She could see the answer in his eyes before he spoke. They said no, Jake told her. They said it was impossible. They threatened us if we tried. Kate Sullivan had gray in her hair and scars from the last alien pirate raid that had hit Earth's colonies. She had lost friends in that attack. Good people who died because humanity did not have the technology to protect itself. Her response was immediate and absolute. Then we build it anyway. 6 months had passed since the Council rejected Earth's proposal. The Phoenix shipyard orbited above Earth like a steel flower, its construction arms reaching out into the darkness. But now security around the shipyard was tighter than ever before. Military vessels patrolled constantly. No unauthorized ships could come within 1,000 kilometers. What was happening inside had become humanity's most closely guarded secret. Dr. Alan Price stood in the main research laboratory, staring at equations that filled 3 entire walls. His hair was gray, his face lined with exhaustion and old grief. 2 years ago, his wife and daughter had been on a colony ship attacked by alien pirates. The Galactic Council had expressed sympathy but done nothing. They said human colonies were too far from their patrol routes, too expensive to protect, not worth the resources. Alan had made a promise at their graves. He would give humanity the power to protect itself. No matter what it took, no matter what the Council said was impossible, the quantum fold equations mocked him from the walls. Every calculation led to the same conclusion. The energy output would destroy any ship attempting to use it. The Council was right about that much. But Alan refused to accept that as the final answer. Dr. Price? A young voice interrupted his thoughts. I think I have something. He turned to see Lisa Grant approaching. She was fresh out of Mars Colony University, barely 25 years old. Some of the older scientists had questioned bringing someone so inexperienced onto the project. Alan had insisted. Sometimes fresh eyes saw possibilities that experience had learned to ignore. Lisa held up a datapad, her hands trembling slightly with excitement. I've been thinking about the problem wrong. We all have. We keep trying to make the hull stronger to withstand the energy output. But what if we don't contain the energy? What if we distribute it? Alan frowned. Distribute it where? The energy has to go somewhere. Into a lattice structure woven through the hull itself, Lisa explained quickly. Her words came faster as her excitement grew, like a net catching water and spreading it out instead of letting it hit one spot. We use threads of a superconductive material arranged in a precise geometric pattern. The energy flows through the lattice instead of burning through the hull. We don't have any material that could handle that kind of energy flow, Alan said, but his mind was already racing through the possibilities. Lisa smiled. Actually, we might. 3 months ago, mining operations in Earth's deep mantle discovered a new element. They're still studying it, but initial tests show it has some unusual properties. It maintains molecular cohesion even under extreme energy stress. They're calling it coherium. Alan grabbed the datapad from her hands. His eyes scanned the information rapidly. His heart began to beat faster. This could work. if we synthesize it into threads and weave them through a diamond matrix. The lattice would need to be incredibly precise. We're talking about tolerances measured in nanometers. I've already drawn up preliminary designs, Lisa said. She pulled up holographic blueprints that floated in the air between them. If we combine coherium threads with synthetic diamond in this pattern, theoretical models show it could withstand energy outputs 300 times greater than any known material. For the first time in months, Alan smiled. Get me samples of coherium, as much as they can spare. And clear space in Lab 7. We have work to do. The next 3 months were a blur of constant testing. The team grew as more specialists were brought in. Metallurgists, quantum physicists, engineers, and materials scientists all worked around the clock. The Phoenix shipyard became a city that never slept, with lights burning at all hours. The breakthrough came on a Tuesday just after midnight. Alan stood with his team in the testing chamber, watching a small cube of coherium diamond lattice suspended in a force field. They slowly increased the energy output running through it, past the threshold where normal materials failed. Past the point where previous experimental materials had vaporized, the cube glowed brighter and brighter, but it held. The lattice distributed the energy perfectly, each thread carrying its portion of the load. When they finally stopped the test, the cube was still intact. Not a single fracture. Not even a stress mark. The room erupted in cheers. Scientists who had worked together for months embraced like old friends. Some had tears running down their faces. They had done what the galaxy said could not be done. Admiral Kate Sullivan arrived the next day to review the progress. With her came Captain Ryan Cole, the man she had selected to command humanity's impossible warship. Ryan was tall and quiet, with calm eyes that never seemed to stop analyzing everything around him. He had commanded destroyers in fights against pirates and smugglers. Kate trusted him completely. They gathered in the main design room where the full blueprints for the warship now covered every surface. The ship had been designated the USS Defiance, a name chosen deliberately. It was a message to the Council and to any who would threaten Earth. Ryan studied the designs carefully, his expression neutral. After a long silence, he spoke. The power requirements are enormous. If something goes wrong during a jump, if there's a calculation error or a system malfunction, the ship and everyone aboard would be destroyed instantly. Alan finished the thought. Yes, I won't lie to you, Captain. This technology pushes every boundary we understand. One mistake could be fatal. Ryan nodded slowly. And the weapon systems? You're planning to draw power directly from the quantum fold drive. Conventional weapons wouldn't be enough, Kate Sullivan interjected. Not if we're going to face threats the Council can't or won't handle. The fold drive generates massive amounts of energy. Alan's team has found a way to channel that into focused beam weapons. The destructive power would be unlike anything currently in use. Assuming the channeling systems don't overload, Ryan pointed out. Assuming the targeting computers can track while we're jumping. Assuming 100 other things all work perfectly the first time. Alan met his gaze directly. Captain, I watched my family die because humanity lacked the power to protect its people. I will not let that happen again. Yes, there are risks. Yes, this has never been done before. But we've solved every problem we've encountered so far. We just need to make sure we don't miscalculate. Ryan was quiet for another moment. Then he turned to Kate Sullivan. When do we start construction? Kate smiled. Immediately. We're pooling resources from every nation on Earth. This is humanity's project, not just one country or one alliance. The Council thinks we're too divided to accomplish something like this. We're going to prove them wrong. Construction began the next week. The Phoenix shipyard transformed as raw materials arrived from Earth, from Mars, from mining operations throughout the solar system. The frame of the Defiance took shape slowly, piece by piece. Each section was tested and retested before being added to the whole. The Council's spies reported the activity back to Proxima 7. Intelligence. Reports showed humans building something in their orbital shipyard, but the Council members dismissed it. They had seen countless young species attempt ambitious projects after being rejected. Pride made species do foolish things. The attempts always ended in failure or produced ships that were barely functional. Let the humans waste their resources, the Council decided. They would learn their limitations soon enough, but in the Phoenix shipyard something remarkable was taking shape. The Defiance grew day by day, its hull gleaming with coherium threads woven through diamond-strong armor. Its quantum-fold drive sat at its heart like a captured star, waiting to prove that what the galaxy called impossible was simply something humanity had not yet achieved. Alan Price worked 20-hour days, checking every calculation, supervising every installation. Lisa Grant led teams of engineers who treated each component like it was made of glass. Captain Ryan Cole studied every system, learning his ship before she was even complete. They all knew what was at stake. This was more than just a warship. It was proof that humanity belonged among the stars, that Earth would not be dismissed or threatened or told what it could not achieve. The Defiance would fly. And when it did, the galaxy would have to watch. 14 months after the Galactic Council said no, the USS Defiance sat complete in her construction cradle. She was smaller than the massive alien dreadnoughts that patrolled the galaxy, but there was something predatory about her design. Smooth lines interrupted by weapon ports, armor that seemed to shimmer with an inner light where coherium threads caught the distant sun. She looked fast and deadly, like a blade waiting to be drawn. Captain Ryan Cole stood on the bridge, his hands resting on the command chair. Around him, his crew of 200 worked at their stations. Every person aboard had volunteered, knowing the risks. They were the best humanity had to offer. Pilots who could fly through asteroid fields blindfolded, engineers who understood systems most people could not even name, weapons officers with reflexes measured in milliseconds. Lieutenant Commander Nicole Hayes stood at his right hand, her dark hair pulled back in a tight bun. She was his first officer, the person he trusted most in the universe. Right now her fingers danced across her control panel, running final system checks. "All stations report ready," she said quietly. "Engineering shows green across the board. Weapon systems are charged but safed. Hull integrity is perfect. We're ready to attempt jump on your command, Captain." Ryan took a slow breath. Through the view screen he could see the Phoenix shipyard sprawling around them. He could see Earth below, blue and white and beautiful. If this went wrong, if the Council was right and humanity was attempting something impossible, these might be the last things he ever saw. In the shipyard control center, Admiral Kate Sullivan watched through cameras mounted throughout the Defiance. Her command staff surrounded her, all focused on their screens. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. Dr. Alan Price stood beside Kate, his eyes fixed on the energy readings. The quantum fold drive was active, humming with barely contained power. Everything looked exactly as the simulations predicted. But simulations were not reality. Reality was about to teach them whether 2 years of work had been genius or madness. "Dr. Price," Kate said quietly, "if you have any last-minute concerns, now is the time." Alan shook his head. "We've checked everything 1,000 times. The math is solid. The materials testing exceeded expectations. Either it works or—" He did not finish the sentence. Everyone in the room knew what failure meant. Kate activated her comm link to the Defiance. "Captain Cole, you are authorized to begin the test sequence." "Good luck." Ryan's voice came back, calm and steady. "Acknowledged, Admiral. Beginning test sequence now." He turned to his engineering station. "Mr. Chen, bring the quantum fold drive to full power." Deep in the Defiance's heart, the quantum fold drive began to wake up. Energy flowed through carefully designed channels, building in intensity. The coherium threads woven through the hull began to glow faintly, absorbing and distributing the massive power output. Numbers scrolled across screens throughout the ship. Energy output climbed higher and higher, past the point where alien test ships had failed. Past the theoretical maximum of conventional materials. The hull should have been tearing itself apart. Instead, it sang with power, every system working in perfect harmony. Energy output at 120% of predicted maximum, Nicole reported. Hull stress within acceptable parameters. Coherium lattice is distributing the load exactly as designed. Alan Price watched his screens in the control center, hardly daring to breathe. The energy readings were beyond anything he had imagined. If this worked, it would change everything humanity understood about physics. "Quantum fold drive at full power," the engineering officer reported. "All systems nominal. We have jump capability." Ryan entered coordinates into his command console, a point in space 300,000 kilometers away. Nothing too ambitious for their first attempt, just far enough to prove the concept worked. "All hands prepare for quantum fold," Ryan announced shipwide. Execute jump in 3, 2, 1, mark. Reality twisted. For the people watching from the Phoenix shipyard, the Defiance simply vanished. One moment she was there, solid and real. The next moment there was only empty space. No flash of light. No dramatic explosion. The warship was simply gone. Kate Sullivan's hand hovered over the emergency abort command, even though there was nothing to abort anymore. If the Defiance had been destroyed, they would know in a moment. If not, 300,000 kilometers away, the Defiance appeared in a burst of displaced radiation. On the bridge, Ryan and his crew felt only the slightest tremor, like driving over a small bump in the road. Systems that should have been screaming in overload showed normal readings. The hull that should have shattered was completely intact. For 3 long seconds, nobody spoke. Then Nicole Hayes started laughing, a sound of pure joy and relief. Within moments, the entire bridge crew was celebrating. People hugging and shaking hands and grinning like children. Control. This is Defiance, Ryan said into his comm, unable to keep the smile out of his voice. Jump successful. Ship integrity at 100%. All systems functioning normally. We did it. In the control center, the room erupted in cheers. Scientists who had worked themselves to exhaustion, military officers who had fought for funding and resources, all of them celebrating a moment that would go down in human history. Alan Price sat down heavily in a chair, his hands shaking. It worked. After everything, after all the doubts and fears and sleepless nights, it actually worked. Humanity had achieved something the greatest civilizations in the galaxy said was impossible. But the celebration was short-lived. A junior officer at the communications station suddenly went pale. Admiral Sullivan, we're detecting a fleet entering the solar system. Multiple ships moving fast. They're broadcasting on Galactic Council frequencies. Kate's smile vanished. Identification? 15 vessels, ma'am. All bearing the markings of the Kryn Dominion. A chill went through the control center. The Kryn were one of the most aggressive members of the Council. Their species had built an empire on conquest and intimidation. They did not make social calls. Get me their fleet commander, Kate ordered. A face appeared on the main screen. War Chief Draknall looked like a nightmare given flesh. His species was reptilian, covered in dark scales and bony ridges. His eyes were yellow and cold. When he spoke, his voice rumbled like distant thunder. This is War Chief Draknall of the Kryn Dominion, acting on the authority of the Galactic Council. Your experimental warship has been deemed a threat to galactic stability. You will power down its drive systems immediately and prepare it for destruction. This is not negotiable. Kate's jaw tightened. The Defiance was built in our own system with our own resources. The Council has no authority here. The Council has authority everywhere, Draknall replied. Your species was warned not to pursue this technology. You ignored that warning. Now you will face the consequences. You have 1 hour to comply. If you refuse, we will destroy Jupiter Station and every human facility in this system until you surrender the warship. The transmission cut off. Kate stared at the blank screen for a long moment. Jupiter Station housed 10,000 people, miners, scientists, families. The Kryn were holding them hostage to force humanity to give up its only real defense. She opened a channel to the Defiance. Captain Cole, did you copy that transmission? Ryan's face appeared on her screen. His earlier joy had been replaced by cold determination. Yes, Admiral. Orders? Kate looked around her control center. At the faces of her staff, at Alan Price, who had lost his family to aliens who thought humans were too weak to matter, at all the people who had worked so hard to prove Earth deserved respect. Captain, the Kryn fleet will reach Jupiter Station in approximately 90 minutes. 15 warships against 1 station with minimal defenses. Casualties would be catastrophic. Understood, Admiral, Ryan said quietly. Are you ordering me to stand down? Kate Sullivan had spent 30 years in Earth's military. She had fought pirates and smugglers. She had watched good people die because humanity lacked the power to protect itself. She had dreamed of a day when Earth would have a weapon that could make the galaxy think twice about threatening her people. That day had come. Negative, Captain. I am ordering you to protect Jupiter Station by any means necessary. Show the Kryn what an impossible warship can do. Ryan nodded slowly. Copy that, Admiral. Defiance out, he turned to his crew. Every face on the bridge looked back at him with determination. They had known this moment might come. They had accepted the risk when they volunteered. Set course for Jupiter Station, maximum speed, Ryan ordered. Charge all weapons. Prepare for combat operations. Today, we show the galaxy that humanity will not be bullied anymore. The Defiance's engines flared to life and the impossible warship leaped forward into battle. The Kryn fleet approached Jupiter Station like a pack of predators circling wounded prey. 15 warships, each one a testament to thousands of years of military development. Their hulls were thick with armor that had withstood countless battles. Their weapons had reduced planets to rubble. They moved with the confidence of warriors who had never known defeat. War Chief Draknall sat in his command throne, watching the human station grow larger on his viewscreen. It was a pathetic thing compared to Kryn military installations. Thin walls, minimal defenses. He could see small ships fleeing from it, civilian vessels trying to evacuate people before the inevitable happened. Should we allow the evacuation ships to escape? His tactical officer asked. Draknall considered the question. No, let them run. It does not matter. When the humans see what happens to those who defy the Council, they will surrender their warship. Then we destroy it and everyone aboard. The Council wants this problem eliminated completely. He leaned back satisfied. This would be simple. Humans were barely a century into space travel. They had built one experimental ship and thought themselves ready to challenge civilizations that had ruled the stars for millennia. It was almost sad how naive they were. War Chief, we have a contact, his sensor officer reported. Single ship bearing directly toward us at high speed. Identification? Draknall asked lazily. It's the experimental human warship, sir. The Defiance, Draknall laughed, a deep rumbling sound. One ship? They send one ship against 15? He stood up, his massive form towering over his crew. Very well. Let them come. We will crush this impossible warship and show the humans the price of arrogance. All vessels maintain formation. When they enter weapons range, destroy them. On the Defiance's bridge, Captain Ryan Cole watched the Kryn fleet growing closer on his tactical display. 15 against 1. Under normal circumstances, it would be suicide to engage. But the Defiance was not a normal ship. Range to target? Ryan asked calmly. 400,000 kilometers in closing. Nicole Hayes reported from her station. Enemy weapons will have effective range in approximately 90 seconds. Status of quantum fold drive. Fully charged and ready, Captain. We can jump on your command. Ryan studied the enemy formation. Draknall had arranged his ships in a classic attack pattern, designed to bring maximum firepower to bear on a single target. It was effective against conventional vessels that had to maneuver through normal space. But the Defiance was not conventional. Helm, take us directly into their formation. Weapons, prepare to fire on my mark. Target their lead dreadnought. His crew responded instantly, hands flying over controls. The Defiance accelerated forward, a small dart racing toward a wall of steel. Entering weapons range, Nicole announced. Enemy ships are locking weapons on us. Execute quantum fold, Ryan ordered. Coordinates Delta 4. Reality twisted. The Defiance vanished from the Kryn sensors just as they were about to fire. For a moment, confusion reigned in the enemy fleet. Ships searched frantically for their target. Then the Defiance appeared again, not in front of the formation but inside it, directly between two of their dreadnoughts. Fire all weapons, Ryan said. The Defiance's weapon systems drew power directly from the quantum fold drive. Beams of energy that should not exist according to conventional physics lanced out from her hull. They struck the nearest Kryn dreadnought with devastating force. The alien ship's shields, designed to withstand normal weapons, simply failed. The beams cut through armor like paper, penetrating deep into the ship's core. Secondary explosions rippled through the vessel as power systems overloaded. Within seconds, the dreadnought's fusion reactor breached and the ship died in a miniature sun. The Kryn fleet erupted into chaos. Ships tried to bring weapons to bear on the Defiance, but she was already gone. 12 seconds after appearing, the human warship jumped again, materializing on the opposite side of the formation. Target their command ship, Ryan ordered. Fire. Another Kryn vessel died before it could return fire. Draknall gripped his command throne, his claws digging into the armrests. This was not possible. No ship could jump that quickly. No weapon should be able to penetrate their shields so easily. His tactical officers shouted reports trying to track a target that refused to stay in one place. All ships scatter formation, Draknall roared. Create overlapping fire zones. When it appears, saturate that area with everything we have. It was the right decision from a warrior with centuries of experience. If you could not track a fast-moving target, you forced it to come to you and made sure no matter where it appeared, Your weapons could hit it. The Kryn fleet spread out into a sphere, each ship covering a section of space with its weapons. Now when the Defiance jumped, it would materialize directly into concentrated fire from multiple directions. On the Defiance's bridge, Ryan watched the enemy formation change. He could see what Draknal was doing. It was smart. It took away his advantage of mobility. If he jumped now, his ship would be hit by fire from at least 3 different vessels before he could jump again. "They've trapped us," Nicole said quietly. "Any jump coordinate inside that sphere puts us in a kill zone." "Then we don't jump inside the sphere," Ryan replied. "We jump outside it and pick them off one at a time. That gives them time to react and possibly escape." "We need to end this quickly, Captain. Our power reserves won't last forever." Ryan knew she was right. The quantum fold drive was consuming energy at an enormous rate. They could maintain this for maybe 30 more minutes before they would need to return to the shipyard to recharge. 30 minutes to defeat 13 remaining warships, or Jupiter Station and its 10,000 people would be destroyed. The comm crackled to life. "Captain, this is Dr. Price." Alan's voice came from the engine room where he had been monitoring the quantum fold drive personally. "I've been running calculations. There's one more option available to us. It's never been tested and the power requirements might tear the ship apart, but..." "Tell me," Ryan said. "The quantum fold drive creates a bubble of altered spacetime around the ship. That's how we jump. But if we increase the power output to maximum and fragment the bubble into multiple points, we could theoretically create several simultaneous fold points. The ship would exist in multiple locations at once for a few seconds." Nicole turned to stare at him. "Multiple locations? How many?" "As many as we have power for. Maybe 15, maybe 20. The coherium lattice in the hull would be stressed beyond design limits, but it might hold long enough." Ryan understood immediately. 15 copies of the Defiance appearing throughout the enemy formation at once. Each one could fire before the Kryn could react. It would be like fighting an entire fleet instead of one ship. "What's the risk?" Ryan asked. "If the lattice fails during the fold, the ship will be torn apart across multiple points in space. We'd be scattered across several thousand kilometers. No survivors. And even if it works, we'll only have one shot. The strain on the drive will be enormous. After this, we'll need hours of repairs before we can jump again." Ryan looked at his crew. He could see the fear in their eyes, but he could also see determination. They had all volunteered, knowing the risks. They all knew what was at stake. "How long do you need to set it up?" Ryan asked. "Give me 2 minutes," Alan replied. "You have one. Do it." Ryan turned to his weapons officer. "Prepare firing solutions for every enemy ship. Prioritize their remaining dreadnoughts. We'll have approximately 3 seconds when the fold activates. Every shot has to count." The bridge crew worked frantically, preparing for something that had never been attempted. In the engine room, Alan and his team pushed the quantum fold drive beyond every safety limit they had programmed. The coherium threads in the hull began to glow brighter, visible even from outside the ship. In the Kryn fleet, Draknal watched the human ship hanging in space outside his sphere formation. It was not trying to escape, not trying to attack, just sitting there growing brighter. "What are they doing?" he demanded. "Unknown, War Chief. Energy readings from their experimental drive are off the scale. They're building up to something." Draknal felt a chill run down his spine. Something was wrong. These humans had already done the impossible once. What if they could do it again? "All ships, focus fire on that vessel now," he ordered. "Destroy it before..." The Defiance exploded into 15 copies of itself. For 3 seconds that seemed to last forever, the human warship existed in 15 places at once. Each quantum echo was fully functional. Each one fired its weapons with perfect accuracy. Beams of impossible energy lanced through the Kryn formation. 13 enemy ships died almost simultaneously. Their shields failed. Their hulls were penetrated. Their cores breached. The space around Jupiter Station lit up with explosions as centuries of Kryn military might was torn apart in seconds. When the quantum fold collapsed and the Defiance returned to normal space, only one enemy vessel remained. Draknal's flagship, heavily damaged and venting atmosphere from a dozen hull breaches. Ryan's hands were shaking on his command console. Warning lights flashed across every station. The coherium lattice had held but barely. Fractures ran through sections of the hull. The quantum fold drive was offline, its systems burned out from the massive strain, but they were alive. And they had won. 3 weeks after the Battle of Jupiter Station, Commander Jake Morrison once again walked through the corridors of the Galactic Council station above Proxima 7. The halls looked the same. The alien architecture still towered over him. The lights from a dozen species still flickered through the windows. But everything had changed. This time, Jake did not walk alone. Behind him came Admiral Kate Sullivan and Dr. Alan Price. And above the planet, holding position in orbit, the USS Defiance waited. The warship bore scars from the battle. Sections of hull were still being repaired. The quantum-fold drive had required extensive maintenance. But she flew, and her presence was a silent reminder of what humanity had achieved. The doors to the council chamber opened. Jake stepped through with his head held high. The 12 council members waited on their platforms, but the atmosphere was different now. No laughter greeted him. No amusement showed in their alien eyes. Instead, there was something Jake had never seen from them before. Respect and fear. Vexthor, the massive insectoid military advisor who had mocked humanity's proposal, stood at his platform. His multiple eyes focused on Jake with new intensity. "Commander Morrison," Vexthor began, his translated voice more formal than before. "The Council has reviewed all available data from the incident at Jupiter Station. We have analyzed sensor records from the Kryn vessels before they were destroyed. We have studied the wreckage. We have consulted with our greatest scientific minds." He paused, and when he continued, Jake could hear something like wonder in his voice. "Your species has achieved what 17 civilizations before you could not. You have created functional quantum-fold technology. More than that, you have weaponized it in ways we never imagined possible. The Kryn fleet that entered your system represented significant military power. War Chief Draknal was one of their most experienced commanders. His ships carried shields and armor that have withstood battles across 100 worlds. Vexthor's mandibles clicked together. Your single warship destroyed 14 of his vessels in minutes. The tactical recordings show your ship existed in multiple locations simultaneously. Our physicists are still arguing about whether such a thing is theoretically possible. Yet you did it." Another council member spoke, the being of pure energy that Jake remembered from his first visit. "The question before us now is what this means for galactic stability. Your species has demonstrated technology that changes the fundamental nature of space warfare. In the wrong hands, such power could destabilize the entire council." Jake felt anger rising in his chest. "In the wrong hands? We built the Defiance to protect our people because you refused to help us. We used it to defend our station against an unprovoked attack by a council member. If you're worried about stability, maybe you should look at the species that threatened to murder 10,000 civilians." "The Kryn acted without council authorization," another member said quickly. Draknal exceeded his orders. "The council did not sanction an attack on your system. But you did threaten us." Kate Sullivan spoke up, her voice hard. "During our first meeting, you told us that pursuing this technology would be seen as reckless endangerment. You said you might be forced to intervene. That sounds like a threat to me." Silence fell over the chamber. The council members looked at each other, the kind of glances that came with uncomfortable truths. Finally, the lead council member, the ancient being whose name humans could not pronounce, spoke. "You are correct. We underestimated your species. We assumed you would fail as others had failed. We believed our experience and knowledge made us superior. We were wrong." The admission hung in the air like something precious and rare. These beings had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They did not admit mistakes easily. "We invite Earth to join the Galactic Council as full members," the lead member continued. "Not as junior partners. Not as subordinates, as equals. We offer access to technologies we have guarded for millennia. We offer military partnership and protection of your colonies. We offer friendship between our peoples." Jake looked at Kate and Alan. They had discussed this possibility during the journey to Proxima 7. They had known the Council might try to bring humanity under their control through seemingly generous offers. "We appreciate the offer," Jake said carefully. "But Earth has some conditions of our own." Vexthor's eyes narrowed. "Conditions? You are in no position to make demands, aren't we?" Kate stepped forward. "The Defiance is one ship. We have materials and facilities to build 9 more just like her. Maybe 20. How many of your member species have technology that could stand against a fleet of quantum-fold warships? You would threaten the Council?" The energy being pulsed brighter with what might have been anger. "No. Alan Price spoke for the first time, his voice quiet but firm. "We're not threatening anyone. But we're not going to be bullied either. Not by you, not by the Kryn, not by anyone. My family died because humanity was too weak to protect itself. That will never happen again." Jake pulled out a datapad and activated it. A holographic document appeared in the center of the chamber, large enough for all to see. "These are humanity's terms for joining the Council," he explained. "First, Earth joins as an equal partner with full voting rights. Second, we will share quantum-fold technology with allied species who prove trustworthy. But the Defiance and her sister ships remain under Earth's sole command. Third, the Council establishes new protocols preventing the kind of aggression the Kryn showed. No member species can threaten others with military force without full Council approval. Fourth," Kate added, "any Council member who attacks human colonies or facilities without provocation will be removed from the Council and face sanctions. We will not accept a system where powerful species can bully weaker ones without consequences." The Council chamber erupted in multiple alien languages as the members argued among themselves. Some voices sounded angry. Others sounded thoughtful. The debate raged for 20 minutes while Jake and his companions waited patiently. Finally, the lead Council member raised an appendage for silence. "The Council will deliberate on your terms. You will have our answer within 3 days." Those 3 days felt longer than the months of building the Defiance. Jake spent them aboard the Warship with Captain Ryan Cole and the crew. They toured the vessel, seeing the repairs being made. They met with the young men and women who had volunteered to serve aboard humanity's impossible warship. On the 3rd day, the Council summoned them back to the chamber. The 12 members waited on their platforms, and this time, there was no hostility in their postures. "The Council has voted on Earth's terms," the lead member announced. "The vote is unanimous. We accept." Jake felt tension drain from his shoulders that he had not realized he was carrying. "All of our terms?" "All of them," Vexthor confirmed. "Earth will join as a full Council member. Your military forces remain independent. We will establish new protocols for conflict resolution, and we will investigate the Kryn leadership for their unauthorized attack on your system." The energy being pulsed in a pattern the translators rendered as resigned acceptance. "We have learned that age does not always equal wisdom. Your species has shown us that innovation and determination can overcome obstacles we thought insurmountable. The galaxy is changing. Perhaps it is time we changed with it." After the formal ceremony ended, Vexthor approached Jake privately. The massive alien warrior made a gesture that translators identified as profound respect. "Your species was underestimated," Vexthor said. "It is a mistake the galaxy will not make again. But I have a question, if I may ask it." "Go ahead," Jake replied. "You knew the risks when you built your warship. You knew you might fail. You knew the Council might oppose you with force. Yet you built it anyway. Why? What drives humans to attempt the impossible?" Jake thought about Alan Price, who had lost his family and turned grief into determination. About Kate Sullivan, who refused to let another generation of humans die unprotected. About Ryan Cole and his crew, who volunteered to test technology that might kill them. About Lisa Grant, barely out of university, who had the courage to suggest ideas older scientists had dismissed. "Because someone told us we couldn't," Jake said simply. "Humans have a long history of being told what we can't do. We're too weak, too young, too primitive, too divided. Every time someone says those things, there's a human somewhere who decides to prove them wrong. Not because we're arrogant, not because we're reckless, but because we believe that the only real limits are the ones we accept." Vexthor was silent for a long moment. Then he made another gesture, this one translating as understanding mixed with something like admiration. "Perhaps that is why your species will go far among the stars," the alien warrior said. "You do not accept the limits others try to impose." A week later, Captain Ryan Cole received new orders. The Defiance and her crew were assigned to lead humanity's first deep space exploration mission, beyond Council space. The quantum fold drive had opened the galaxy in ways previously unimaginable. There were worlds to discover, species to meet, and mysteries to solve. On the day they departed, Jake Morrison stood in the observation deck of the Phoenix shipyard, watching the Defiance prepare for her journey. The warship glowed in the light of Earth's sun, her coherium-threaded hull